Hello, I have here two of Yamaha's P series piano, two brand new ones in the P series. I've got the P45 on my left and on my right I've got the P115. Now P series stands for portable, which means you can pick them up, move them around. They're good for gigging, good for using at home if you've got to pack it away sometimes. Now I should just say at the start of this video that I'm going to be talking a great deal about these two pianos to start with rather than playing. If you want to hear them being played side by side, then skip to near the end of this video and I'll get on with comparing the two sounds, but for now it's the talking bit. So what I want to do is show you the differences between the two and try and help you decide which one might be for you. Now price wise, P45 at the moment is the cheaper one, £325, and its big brother here, the P115, is £469. So there's about £140 difference between the two, and if you're umming and ahhing as to which one to get, hopefully I can help you decide which one's going to give you better value for money. So I'll get straight to the playing. Just to give you an example of how the piano sounds on both of these, I've set the volumes to just below maximum and we're set on the ordinary piano. So P45 to start with. Okay, P115. Okay, so they're both actually pretty good, aren't they, for stage pianos? But let's get into the nitty-gritty and learn a bit more about them. So first thing is the physical things. Size-wise, they are nearly identical. I'm just talking a few millimeters in height. The P115 is slightly bigger, but width, they're the same. They've got the same amount of keys. This is 88 keys, just like a real piano. They are both weighted keys, so this means they feel like a real piano to play as well. Now that mechanism, that weighted key mechanism, is called the GHS by Yamaha, and it's on both of them. They're both exactly the same. Now on the keys there is a difference between the two, only a little thing, but the P115 does have matte finish on the black keys, on the key tops. So it's not a huge difference, I have to say, but if you're feeling the key tops on the black notes, the P115 here is slightly smoother to touch. So it's a little touch of authenticity, not a big thing, but there it is. Now these being in the same series, there is of course quite a lot that is similar between them, apart from the size and the amount of keys that we've already talked about. The amount of sounds that they make, or voices as they call them, is almost the same. P45 here has 10 voices. It's got piano, strings, electric pianos, organs, etc. P115 has 4 more voices. So you get your standard ones, piano, strings, organ, etc. But you've got one extra piano on there, and you also have one extra stage electric piano as well. Both of them give you the ability to play what we call dual sounds. That's 2 sounds on top of each other. Most common one is probably piano with strings on top, so that's quite a handy feature. And you can transpose them both as well. Being able to transpose the key of a stage piano has been a lifesaver for many jobbing musicians out there over the years, and you can of course do that on both models. So P115, it's about £140 more. Now what are you going to get for your extra £140? I've highlighted a few things I think that make the difference. The first thing is the actual sound itself, how it's produced, what we're hearing when we play. The 115, the sound is sampled from Yamaha's current greatest grand piano, their CF3S. It's about £100,000, proper concert grand piano. It's using what they call their pure CF sampling technology. So that for me is a big thing. Now the P45, it doesn't use that, it uses their older version of it called AWN stereo sampling. Now it's still pretty good, admittedly, but the P115 is just the next level up when it comes to the sampling. What this means in reality is it's just a little bit more sensitive to play, and if you've got a real musician's ear or you're going to develop one, you can tell the difference between the two the more time you spend with them. Now the other thing, for me this is probably the one thing that lifts the P115 way above the P45, its little brother, and that is the polyphony number. Okay, now just to start with, the P115 has a polyphony number of 192, but the P45 here has a polyphony number of 64. Okay, now you're probably asking, what on earth is polyphony? Okay, now I have explained this in other videos, but in layman's terms, what it means is the amount of notes that you can play at the same time. And the obvious thing to say here is, well, I've only got 10 fingers, how can I possibly play more than 10 notes? It doesn't quite work like that when you're playing piano, because when your foot's on the sustain pedal, you can play some notes right at the beginning, and those notes will keep on playing. They will sustain as you add other notes, and before you know it, you can add loads and loads of notes. And the lower the polyphony number, the faster those notes at the beginning begin to decay. Okay, so for a beginner, for a total beginner, P45 is great. It has this lower polyphony number, and for a beginner that's fine. You probably won't notice it, but as you get better, or if you're already experienced, you're going to appreciate having a higher polyphony number because you can get more feeling out of the piano. Again, I say in other videos when I'm explaining this, it's like a painter having more shades of a colour in their palette, and that's what you get with a higher polyphony number. You can just get more feeling and expression from it. So a quick practical example of how this works. I'll play a note right at the bottom and then add lots of notes with my foot on the sustain pedal, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So the thing I notice all the way through is the bass notes that I played at the beginning, they remain there. They don't disappear as I'm adding notes on top. So polyphony for me, that lifts the P115 way above its little brother here, the P45. Okay, next really important difference between the two is the ability to record what you're playing. You cannot record on board the P45 piano. There's no way of doing it. You'll have to do it on your phone or on your iPad or your computer. Now P115, it's got a record button on it, and it's easy to use. You press record, you play something, press record again when you're finished, and in a few seconds time it saves it onto the memory. Even if you turn it off, unplug it, turn it back on, it saves itself onto the memory. Press play, and it plays it back. Now, why is this a good thing? If you're a beginner, it's a wonderful feature to be able to play and then listen to what you've played and analyse the notes you've played to see where you're going wrong or your timing is going out. It's also nice to be able to record your left hand and your right hand separately. So I could record myself playing the left hand, something like this. I could record that with one hand and then play back over the top. Okay, I'm doing it with both hands there, but you get the idea. I could have recorded my left hand first and then just played with my right hand over the top. So for a beginner, being able to record is a wonderful thing. And when you're at the beginning of your piano playing journey, being able to do that, being able to play a duet with yourself, it just keeps you interested. It makes it interesting. It keeps you practicing. It keeps you on the instrument. It does a lot to encourage you, in other words. So I say to all my own students, get something that you can record on, because you'll just find it more interesting. And keeping a student interested is half the battle when it comes to getting them to learn how to play piano. Now, if you're an experienced player already, you'll know why recording is useful. If you compose music, you can just, at the touch of a button, put down a quick idea, or you can play very, very complex multiple parts as well. Extremely useful to have that recording on there. Okay, the other really big thing for me is the speakers themselves. There's a difference between the P45 and P115, and again I think this is where some of your hard-earned money is going. We've got on the P45 we have a 6 watt amplifier, and it's 7 watt on the P115. Now okay, that's not much of a difference, but the size of the speaker cones, that does make a difference. P45 gives us two 12 centimetre speaker cones, okay, and we have those very 12 centimetre speaker cones on the P115, but we also have two additional 4 centimetre ones. Now I notice this when I sit playing the two, because the P45 compared to its big brother is a little thin sounding, okay, but when you play on this one, the P115, there's a little boost in the bass end and the middle end, and the treble has got a little bit more crisp on it. So speakers, I think that's where some of the money's going. Onboard speakers, I think, are very good and well worth the extra money on P115. A couple of other significant features that you get on the P115 and not on the P45 are the pianist style section and the rhythms as well. I did demonstrate this on a previous video, so we'll cut to that now. I'll get a little drum intro and I can play over the top. So the two pianos you can put on a cross-frame stand, as I'm doing here, but there is also a wooden stand as well. Quite nice wooden attachment. It's about £90. That will make it look a little bit neater, particularly if you put it in the sitting room or somewhere like that. Now you can also attach 3 pedals. Both of them come with one sustain pedal, but you can, if you want to, attach all 3 pedals like you get in a grand piano. P45 you cannot do that. P115 you can attach those 3 pedals if you like. Now while it's on its wooden stand and it's looking all neat, it doesn't mean that you can't just whip it off and take it out for a performance, a gig, using a cross-frame stand, which of course folds up and goes into the back of the car nicely. But while it's on its wooden legs, it looks a bit like a nice bit of furniture. It looks a little bit less, I don't want to say ugly, but a little more elegant than it looks on the cross-frame stand. So what piano should you buy? That's the question. Now, if you're a beginner and you're working on a budget and you just want to dip your toe into music, piano playing and see how you get on, P45 is great. If you're a student of mine and you said, I've got a P45 at home, that's what I'm practicing on, then I would be totally thrilled, because I know you've got a good weighted key mechanism, the full length, and it's a sensitive piano, so that's great. Now, where it might be a problem is, let's say you progress at a decent speed, the P115 would give you more shades of the colours in your palette. You'd be able to be more of a sensitive musician because of that higher polyphony count, and you will notice the limitations of the P45 as you get better. I guarantee it. Now the other thing for a beginner, whether you're a child or an adult, being able to record on P115 just makes the whole learning process more engaging, without doubt. You can record stuff, play over the top of it, record it, play it to the family when they come home, show them what you've done. It's just a better instrument. It's only £140 more. It's likely to last longer, is the key. You're not likely to outgrow it as fast as you are the P45. Now for the advanced musician, for the gigging musician, there's no competition at all between the two. P115 is a more sensitive piano, and for me, if it's piano you want, then that's great. It's way above its little brother here. You can put more light and shade into your playing. talking about gigging, it's quite nice to be able to cut the speaker if you're going through a PA system. Quite useful feature that P45 doesn't have. Also, it's got this sound boost function as well, which if you're playing in a big group, sometimes the piano can get lost because it's too muddy, too low on the bottom end. Sound boost sets the EQ just right, so it cuts through the treble. It'll cut through the band mix a bit better. I think that's a great idea from them, because Yamaha, of course, know people go out and gig with these pianos. That, again, lifts it above the P45. Saying that, if you just want 88 keys that are weighted to go out and gig with, to blast out some rock and roll, P45 is great. Cracking piano. But if there's a bit more to your playing, if you need a bit more from your playing, P115 is superior in a lot of ways. Okay, so let's see what they both sound like side by side. Now, I'll start with ordinary piano. I've set them both to ordinary piano. Volume is just below maximum. Okay, P115 piano. Let's try the second pianos on them both. So on P45, it's a brighter piano. So quite good for the rock and roll stuff. Quite raspy. I kind of like that. Now, this one, P115, we got three pianos to choose from. You heard the first one. This is the P115's brightest piano. Again, that's quite raspy, quite like that. There's also a mellow grand. This is the third piano P45 doesn't have. So it's very gentle, very soft. Nice mellow piano. So what about piano and strings together? P45, grand piano and strings together. Okay, let's go P115, grand piano and strings. electric pianos, Fender Rhodesy style sounds. Let's try P45. That's quite nice. It's quite nice. It's a little on the muddy sound, perhaps. Let's try P115. This is definitely where those slightly bigger speakers or the extra speakers come in. Yeah, very, very rich sounding. So a few variations of organs as well. We've got the jazz organ, jazz rock organ, and pipe organ as well. And on P45 we've got organ number 1. Organ number 2 is a pipe organ as well, so there's actually no rock organ on P45. So there's a little comparison of the sounds for you. Well, thanks for watching. Have a look on our website epianos.co.uk, where you can buy the keyboards individually just on their own, or you can get them in bundles as well with stands and headphones and all the bits and pieces that you need. Thanks for watching.